Thank you, all the devotees, especially Ramchandra Prabhu, for giving me an opportunity to speak. And he asked me for a topic, and I was very inspired to give this topic, the intrinsic and the special nature, how human body is separate, is very high value compared to the animals. Now, one interesting study that got me into it if you Google, maybe some other time, if you Google homoculous, right? Homoculous. So homoculous, you'll find a person, if you Google it, you'll find a person with big hands, like hands as big as the body, and a big face. Okay. So that is a very Vedic picture. If you actually just Google and see this homoculous, and that actually explains how important human body is at two places. That is, one is the hands, and another is the mouth. Your brain gives almost 80% of its brain area to perception by these two organs. That's in the human body. The human has that level of perception to the hands and to the mouth. And there is so much that you have to do that in the there are many verses which explain the different Vedas, how human hand is the most beautifully intellectually developed. This is very special compared to all other species. The human hand also has been given, if you look at homoculous, it has been given the highest amount of perception. There are so many things that we do: mudra, hand gestures, work with our hands, deity worship with our hands. This cannot be done because in the Bhagavatam it explains, if you read third canto, it explains, of course, in the Bhagavatam it proceeds Sarga Visarga. So in the Sarga, it talks about the development of molecules, right? So single molecule, double molecule, and how these movement of these molecules actually makes up time, right? Development of time from the micro millisecond to the day of Brahma or the lifetime of Brahma. But even the lifetime of Brahma is nothing. It is nothing. It is simply insignificant. Then later on in the secondary creation, it explains the evolution of animals or Jiva in the bodies, how they are structured. Like there are, once Prabhupada was traveling, this is to illustrate, in a train with some devotees, young devotees, Prabhupada's disciples. And all along the journey, there was snow. And some devotees were kind of, wow, beautiful snow, this, that. And Prabhupada said, what is this? You are liking this? Imagine there are some jivas who are in this snow. He said there is jiva everywhere. Sarvaga. He is everywhere. And there are jivas which are in this snow. Imagine the kind of suffering that they have to undergo just being in this cold, God-forsaken place, Prabhupada said. So from those jiva, it's called Indragopa, the smallest, to there is systematic development of animals. the bodies. There are single-celled, double-celled. Then there is in the water. Then gradually they spread on the land, trees and others. And then the birds, and they have certain paws, certain restrictions. Then comes the land animals. Even among them, they have hooves, they have split hooves, some have fingers, but not very developed. And finally, it comes to the human species. Now, very interestingly, even in the Vedas, as we see, there are 84 lakh species, 8.4 million species, and they are according to different levels of mental evolution, how the mind develops. Now we know very well that there are 400,000 human species. Now there are certain humans who live as Eskimos, who live in Africa. Now, among these 400,000, they have no exposure to any kind of intelligence or spiritual intelligence. They are as good as in the animal. So what separates the humans and the animals? The first is speech. The Lord has given. In the Vedas, it explains. When it explains the qualities of the Lord, how the Purusha Shukta, how he develops, the first thing that comes is sound. Now humans can comprehend. And if we advance through the process of yoga, it is said one can understand any species, the language of any species. Right? So the yogi can do that. An advanced devotee can understand that also. Prabhupada could understand anything. Once Prabhupada, if you see, there is a video, Prabhupada is going and there is a crocodile, right? And Prabhupada looks at it very carefully and he says, there is an interest to eat, right? So he can understand even how animals communicate. There are so many incidents where monkeys in Vrindavan, Prabhupada is communicating. There are so many things. A yogi can understand any species, but the animals cannot understand the human or the higher sound. So sound is the first element that is created, and that is where the humans, we can understand. The humans have the ability of speech to break down that speech, understand, and also understand the divine. So animals cannot do that. The study of Veda, the recital of Veda, although they have speech, but their speech is very limited. So humans are in the human body. This is something special. Now, this can be used, this speech can be used, as we know, to go higher or lower. Sound can take you higher or lower, right? We know how by eating, by hearing higher sounds, higher knowledge, anavrittihi shabdat, in the Bhagavatam it is said. In the Vedanta Sutra it is said, anavrittihi shabdat. So sound can liberate you. So human life, we have the ability to hear and understand. Prabhupada says, I can invite humans to hear about the Bhagavad Gita. So this hearing is very special because the animal mind is so fearful. Like Bhagavatam says, animal life is full of fear. Human life is full of anxiety. And the demigod life is full of pleasure. That is the problem. So animals are so much in fear. The moment you go close to any animal, they are so much in fear. Now humans can go higher to that level of pleasure, enjoyment, or they can go. But human life is actually considered much higher than even a demigod life. That is the importance given to human life. Other day, I was speaking to someone and I was hearing this lecture, but I forget the exact quote. But it is said that the Earth planet, and especially Bharatavarsha, is greater than Vaikuntha. It is explained. Gauranga Prabhu explains this in one lecture. And greater than Vaikuntha? Yes, it is. Our Bharata Bhumi is so powerful. It is greater than Vaikuntha. Similarly, the human body is even greater. Even as we know that the devatas, they are aspiring to be born among devotees. Because what is available, the yajna bhumi, the tapo bhumi, the earth to humans, this facility is not even available in the heavenly planets. Now I'm living in Las Vegas, I know. 10 minutes from here is the Las Vegas famous strip area. So every time we want to take the kids out for a drive, my wife says, "No, take left. There is another Red Rock Canyon road." She says, "Never go by this road." You never know. Because the billboards, I mean, how much can you invest on a billboard? It's the size of a building. It's flashing, right? How much can you invest? Now imagine living in a heavenly planet where you have that opportunity, you have the ability to simply engage in pleasure. Now, human bodies, even if we want, we cannot, right? Even Jeff Bezos went for 15 minutes and came back. That's all. Not more than that. Even he cannot have it so much. So because there are so many limitations, so you have other priorities. You have to think, what is the real pleasure? And even in the Bhagavatam, we find that even great kings, once they become old, they voluntarily take up the process of detachment. Now, coming to the process of detachment, apart from speech, what humans have special, another important aspect that humans have special is they can give up procreation completely as a process. Right? What happens is what we call animal instinct. It's a word because it's a natural instinct that cannot be stopped. It's a natural force that cannot be stopped. So that's why it's called animal instinct. Now humans can develop animal instinct. It is already there, by the way. When you come to Rajoguna, naturally this is awakened. That's why they say by association, your material animal instinct becomes awakened by mode of passion and ignorance. You go even lower than animals because animals have regulation. They are self-regulated because they have certain limitations, what they can do, how much their intelligence can go. But the human intelligence is amazing. When it goes high, it can take you to a higher platform. But when it goes low, as we can see today, what is happening in the world today, there's so many things happening anyway. And we see that human intelligence can take humans even worse than the animals. That is why at the age of 50, Vanaprastha is recommended for Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Right? This detachment process is very special to humans only because animals do not undergo this. There is no animal that retires or takes sannyas. For humans, this is available, this level of knowledge. So, our speech can take us beyond the bodily platform. Our detachment actually takes you there. That is the first thing. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena hitaya cha. So the human ability to practice and detach. This is very special to humans. That's why when Arjuna says, how is this possible? It's not possible for animals. And any human who says it is not possible. That's why Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary. There is nothing impossible. When you're empowered by Guru, nothing is impossible, because abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena hitaya. Ultimately, it is not us who are doing this. By practice and by cultivating detachment from enjoyment, you become eligible for mercy. Ultimately, human life is meant to become humble and attract the mercy. That's it. We are not doers, and I learned it the hard way. I thought I was doing a lot of things. I was a big guy. Then Krishna gave one. So, when we become humble, that's the first step in knowledge. Now, all these qualities are not possible in animal life, because it's very difficult to understand that this is needed. But by human association, by saintly association, even animals can be purified. How about humans? So the hands, well-developed hands, it is explained in various verses in the Vedas, the speciality of human hand, because this hand can do so many things. Material also, but planting a plant, cooking is very special only to humans. The activities that are there in the spiritual world can all be replicated by the human body. Now, cooking is not possible in the animal body. Now, cooking is very special, because Agni Samskara, when you eat something, now you can eat something, like there are raw vegans. You can eat and survive like that also. There are some people who survive on fruits only, raw, and all that. And here we see in the West, some people only eat meat. That is also there. But if you look at Ayurveda, yogic scriptures, the ability to understand and cook is very special, especially cooking for the Lord. So this understanding and the consciousness that we bring into the cooking distinguishes us, because we can eat as the animals also eat, but we can actually go to a higher level. So that is why human life begins, right? So that is by regulating what is animal instinct, separating. So that is the speech, detachment, sex life, especially sex life, and then the activities of devotion. So the eating itself becomes the greatest activity of devotion. So we are hearing so many. Other day somebody put this, one devotee Mataji from I guess from the Tobacco temple or somewhere, who's there for many years, and she doesn't taste, she cooks every day, she cooking. And there is one devotee, Dinabandhu Prabhu, few years ago, he posted, again I forget the name, but very senior devotee, he joined. He used to cook from Mangalarti to night. So this cooking is an art, and it is very special, significant to human life. So if we cook, and that is a samskara, because Agni Dev, because cooking is also a samskara. It's a very special art. So as we see, among humans, another thing is, what is very special is the way the children can be taught, right? Animals learn according to the instinct, and they have already that pre-knowledge, like bird's nest or travel or this or that, they learn. But the ability of the humans to impart higher knowledge, which is not possible. Of course, animals don't have access to this, but especially human body has been designed for this. Now the thing is, although it is designed, it can or cannot be used. We see, like now India won a javelin throw gold, right? That was, now there's nothing special about it. It is just throwing a javelin. It's nothing spiritual. So one may be a javelin champion, but his instincts may not even be human. So that is another ability, just like somebody just runs very fast. So that's as good as a cheetah. You develop some instinct. When Prabhupada saw, when they went to this Hawaii and they were surfing for hours and hours and hours, and Prabhupada said, oh, they'll be born as fish. And Prabhupada looked at the whole civilization and said, this is a very grand version of animals. So just like this, Olympics concluded, right? They jump into the water, they do this, they do that. Now, even this art, so the speciality of human life again is how you connect it in consciousness. Like for example, even Kshatriyas like Arjuna, now they did archery. Now they also did javelin throw. They all did these different things. But at the same time, they did this as a part of dharma. Because they did it as a part of dharma, because even Duryodhana did the same thing. Right? Duryodhana also was a good fighter. He did archery, he did everything. So the activities, what we do are maybe the same. We are eating like Prabhupada said, but then the speciality is how we add a higher level of consciousness. So sometimes even as devotees, what might happen is we might get mechanical into our process. Once I asked His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, and every day that answer still strikes me, and I use that to measure myself. I asked him, how does a devotee actually measure his progress? How does a devotee measure his progress? And he said, the more you are able to value, that you are a human being, that Lord has given you this special human body with all these special facilities of speech, hearing, and you are able to detach from all animal instincts and cultivate only the activities of dharma, the purified activities of dharma, and the more you feel detached from all the so-called material pleasures, the animal pleasures, and you have to measure it if you're going down or up. Right? Ekadashi comes. Right? Last time I spoke this, right? We are very eager. A potato, Goranga potato, Nityananda pakoda, whatever. That's not Ekadashi. So human life, it's very special because we can also fast. So that's the thing Ayurveda says. One can change. Actually, I started my PhD last week and I was amazed to find it's a Maharishi Mahesh International University. We had an introductory session with all the others who are participating in this. And I was amazed to find there are about 12 of us in this PhD program, about 4 Indians. And 2 of them were into Ayurveda research, and it's very beautiful. And their research, they quoted some Ayurvedic and Vedic verses. It is said, at the point of conception of sperm and ova, generally the characteristics from the father's side, mother's side, it comes together along with karma according to Ayurveda, and it forms your nature. Now you have a physical and mental nature, but they are intertwined. So that is called your nature, Ayurvedic nature. Now, based on that nature, you develop a certain type of personality and diseases also. If you're kapha, then you develop this disease. Pitta, you develop this. Their research is on how mantra chanting, following the Vedic, diet and mantra. So they are doing a specific research on that. This in Kerala they are doing with the healing. How you can change your nature. That was very interesting. And I put forward that And I also had a discussion with them, and I was also telling them that actually once you chant Hare Krishna, and of course, yeah, they are taking a lot of how people can change themselves completely. So how it affects consciousness, whether you are human or animal, actually mantra, all these things, they affect consciousness. But it was very interesting because it is said in the Veda, even in the Bhagavatam. So when we call liberation, so when we say we can fall down even from Bhava Bhakti, all these things you can explain, because my discussion was pretty long and I was trying to cover all these aspects with them. And what happens is, as and how you undergo a spiritual transformation to sustain, to maintain, what happens is you can have a gross change. Like as devotees, we immediately give up meat eating, we give up illicit sex to a degree, and then intoxication, all these things, but we see even it's very difficult to follow subtly many regulative principles. Sometimes we desire, um, as some kind of, we want to watch a movie or we want to go somewhere, some desires come up. So that subtle, to change yourself in a subtle manner, that these become insignificant. Because the point here is, ever since you are born, whatever animal births or human births you have been through, right? You have been through, every experience remains with you. Every instinct remains with you. It is in your repository. Now, what you are today is a mixture of all this. So that is why everybody is complex in Kali Yuga, and everybody is, because of the anxiety, stress, and all this today that we are going through, more than our human nature, all the other previous nature comes out to actually reach the stage of liberation, where none of these previous thoughts affect you anymore, right? Prabhupada said liberation. And at one point I was reading where Prabhupada said that initiation can only be given to liberated souls. Forget where exactly, but it Prabhupada at one place he says that initiation can only be given to, but in Kali Yuga you don't find liberated souls. Where will you find it? It is very difficult. So that is why it is out of mercy that we have gotten this. Mercy means we don't deserve any of this. And in Kali Yuga, definitely we do not deserve. Right? We were born in Satyuga, we were born in Dwapara Yuga, we were born in Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga you have born means you have been through all the three yugas. You enjoyed city life, everything at that time. And we failed. And today we are here in Kali Yuga. So this is our fallen condition. So that's why they say we are very fallen. Fallen means you don't have adhikar. So Kali Yuga you are born means we do not have adhikar to chant the Veda. We are actually very fallen. So even if somebody by mistake also drinks alcohol for one life until he does strong atonement, because it is said once you get that samskara, like in the Vedic punishment, it says one who has killed, he should be killed immediately. One who has that. Because what happens is that once you develop an instinct or a habit in one life, that is the most difficult to change. And it's only by saintly association, by mercy, by practice, that one can overcome such a nature. So that is why we find some people are sent to jail, they come back, they're still the same. They do the same thing the first day, even after 20 years in jail, because that samskara is there. Right? So in animal life, it is not possible to change this. Only Jada Bharat was very fortunate that he was able to awaken his consciousness even in the animal life. So the most difficult thing, so the most facilities are given in the human life: speech, fire, ability with the hand, very special. Just count the blessings, they say. And frankly speaking, yes, the Vedas say, count your blessings. You are human. You have this. You have this special ability. You have this special ability. It's all given there. Why is it telling you you have this special ability? Because it can be purified. This can take you beyond the birth. How long we want to live here, although Prabhupada says eventually the soul will go back, but it's not an automatic process. Even for the soul, it's not that, okay, itna time ho gaya, wapas. No, you can live as long as you want, right? And especially if you become a celebrity, even dangerous. Then you want to live longer, right? That body. So the most difficult thing that we find, and we can see as practicing devotees, we want to cultivate divine qualities, right? We want to cultivate divine qualities, humility. Krishna explains all the qualities, respect for all the elders, saintly people. Then amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, right? All these qualities he explains. So human life means when these qualities grow, even a Shudra, what we speak in Varnashrama Dharma, even a Shudra, according to Bhagavatam, has 32 qualities. If you look at that definition, we are not even Shudra. In the Bhagavatam, it is said 32 qualities for a Shudra. For a Brahmana, much, much more. So that is why in the once my spiritual, His Holiness Bhaktiraghu Maharaj, when he gave second initiation, he said, although you are getting this thread, please remember, Brahman initiation is not about chanting 3 times Gayatri, but cultivating these qualities of a Brahmana. So human life is very special because one can cultivate these divine and reach the nature of the soul. One can completely reflect the nature of the soul. Depending on our anartha, that's what we reflect. So what does the Bhagavatam do? Vidyate Hridaya Granthis. So it removes all the... When we talk about somebody, we say, oh, he is like this only. He is like this only. Can't you change? Right? We have some people are known for their character. Right? He's a character. Right? What character? And see, as it reflects a particular personality. But can you change that? That is the whole. So that was what I was very amazed to discuss with these Ayurvedic. Because in Ayurveda also, because of your constitution is a certain way, you have a certain leverage. But to become completely saintly, to reflect the nature of the soul, that every human is eligible. But he has to work in a particular way. So that is why we need Guru. Because we cannot understand. The Guru gets a divine instruction. The Guru gets divine instruction by which he understands the psychophysical mentality of the disciple and guides him accordingly. So because of our karmic repository is different, that is why Prabhupada used to give individual instructions. You do this and you do this, because not everybody can take the same type of instruction. And some can take sannyas, some cannot take sannyas, but the same quality he can imbibe in a different way. So Prabhupada said, even if one is a grahastha, one can still be a sannyasi, Prabhupada said. So there are so many things when you go into divine qualities. So we see that the Vedas, they glorify the human body. And also another important feature of humans, the Vedas also say, is cloth. We can wear clothes in such a way. So that is why Prabhupada called the dhoti kurta as the Vaikuntha dress. And somehow even within our ISKCON society, there is a debate over whether we should wear this or not wear this. The clothes make such a big difference to your own consciousness. Because when you wear shorts and this and that, like if I walk around, if I go to a nice place, restaurant wearing all this nice tilak, it looks funny. But then you can wear anything and go anywhere. So a dress is also protection. Sadhu's dress to protect the sadhu is not just for him to remind, but your dress reflects your personality, your mood. Animals don't do that again. So humans have this ability. Again, you can wear dress like an animal also. You can dress as though you are an animal. Right? So that reflects the personality. Therefore, there are very specific directions for all this. Cooking, like Ayurveda, it talks all about cooking. It's very special only to humans. Speech. 14 years you are perfecting speech in a Gurukula. I visited, my Guru Maharaj was doing a master's degree in Gurukul education, and he sent me to about 14 Gurukuls in India to do an analysis. And I was surprised in Sringeri, Sharda Peeth, Vidya, Sharda Peeth, there these people, they study for 14 years to read a Rigveda verse, one end to the other. Then they can read the verse, like we read Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Jujutsavaha, Mamaka, Pandavaschaiva, Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. Now they can read it reverse. From ya, Sanjaya, ya. They can read each syllable, how you break down each syllable and you read it reverse. So that is called Ghanapati. So the Vedic sound should always reverberate in the mind. And for that, one has to be celibate. Now, this celibate quality is also only special to humans. Animals don't have any control. So when we just joined and Maharaj took us to Indonesia, and Indonesia, there was a beautiful temple coming up. So we were all serving at that time, and Maharaj gave a beautiful speech, and he said, human life means to bring material enjoyment, especially sex life, to zero. We were all like, oh my God, how are we going to do that? So subtle enjoyment also, to purify that. Now that technique, it is not that it is impossible. First of all, we should desire. Then using all these instruments in the right way. Because human life means activity, but every activity connects to the same absolute truth. You eat, your hands are used. Remember, 80% is speech and hand that affects your brain. So if you understand this science, so that is when I wrote the book on mudra, I was amazed how for every puja, for every activity, our hands are used, and the hands mudra, they affect so much. For example, the Shankha mudra, this is used in puja. Right? It is said just this mudra, this purifies your every nadi. Now what happens in nadi? When I want to chant a mantra, when we say we are chanting Hare Krishna, or what happens? Suddenly some thought pops up. Right? Now in Uddhava Gita, Krishna especially says to Uddhava, Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Means there should be no, your nadis, what happens is every thought repository, every anxiety, every thought, they are all hidden in the nadi. So when you start to chant, your mantra is trying to travel, communicate, right, to the mind, to the heart, in the mind. And this nadi is all this anxiety. Then it comes across this traffic, and all these thoughts begin to pop up. But if they are already purified, right, so that is the process. So all your activities should be such. So that is why Varnashrama Dharma is there, because when you perform all the activities of in Varnashrama Dharma, the goal is sense control, pleasure of the Lord, no repository of thought. Whereas when we act in a materialistic, lusty way, like buy these shares, do this, do that, this is, and then we win or we lose, we are in such anxiety. Whereas Varnashrama Dharma is all about do your dharma and leave the results to Krishna. Even in Varnashrama Dharma, we do that. But in devotion, that is especially even true, that none of these anxieties should be there with the devotee, because he is in tune with the universe. So the Lord protects such a devotee. Where is the anxiety? So when we start to chant, there is nothing that should disturb us. So if it is something is disturbing us, so then all the activities need to be purified. So the human knowledge, so human process, this process of bhakti, this process of human life is to understand the science behind the every activity that human can do and how to connect it to the absolute. And that is what we call as akarma, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains karma, vikarma and akarma. Karma is good karma, vikarma is bad karma. The first Bhagavad Gita class I ever heard in ISKCON, he said, Bhagwan kehte hai, dono mat karo. I was shocked. Karenge kya? Bhagwan, that he was from Bihar. Bhagwan kahe hai, कर्म भी मत करो, विकर्म भी मत करो. Then I was anxious for the answer. Then what is he saying? Bhagwan कहते हैं अकर्म करो, so do akarma. So akarma means every activity is there, but it is not leaving you a karmic repository. And because it's not leaving you a karmic repository, so when, even if it is there, it is very minimal. And then when you start to chant, do any spiritual activity, you are completely free, because you instinctively feel the protection of the Lord. And that, when you overcome that fear, that's when human life actually begins, fearlessness. Because that is the distinction. Like the Bhagavatam says, animal life is fear, full of fear. Human life is anxiety. And however, we have a lot of fear. But when the fear goes away, like today's media is all on fear. It's all about how to control, mass control, make people like animals, make them fearful. But when this fear goes away and complete, that is why I was amazed to read, I was reading this book by Nathamuni, Yoga Rahasya. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, I was amazed to find that when one practices yoga, when one practices bhakti, there is a sentence, it says, Rakshayati iti vishwaso, that the Lord will protect me 100%. Now, this understanding makes one fearless. And that's when Prabhupada says, that's when my senior godbrother told me that you should read Bhagavatam thrice, then your human life can think of beginning. I did not understand then. Now I realize how fearless we should be. And only when we are fearless, our mind doesn't fall back into what it was, all the previous thoughts. Even in the Yoga Sutras, it states that human life is special. Human life is anxiety, lamentation. Correct. That's the word. That is what is Arjuna's lamentation. That's very significant, that word lamentation. Because animals are fear and lamenting, not lamenting so much because they don't think so much. Human life is fear and lamenting. And the demigod life is pleasure. And eventually a lament also. But lamentation is what Arjuna is displaying, is what is common human character. And when we come out of it, when Arjuna says, oh, Krishna, nashta moha smritir labdva. Yes, now your knowledge has made me fearless. Now I am clear on what I want to do. So there we see different levels. So the biggest stage in bhakti is also anartha nivritti, perfecting our activity to a point where we call nishtha. Nishtha means nothing can shake you. That fear aspect is gone. Even when I became a devotee in the beginning, oh, Vaikuntha se girte hain, yet so many questions. So we always had some fear. But now, even if we see so many difficulties, so many anxieties coming, but that fear is not there. Whatever it is, now we are doing bhakti. We are very fixed in our practice, nishtha. So the entire transformation of understanding the human gifts, valuing the human gifts, and perfecting those activities, perfecting the cooking, not for us, for the Lord, and even for us to eat healing, and to speak what is perfect, what is healing. Your speech can heal you, but when you abuse, your own speech can kill you. You are the first person to hear your speech, right? It's not for public. So then the taking care of children in a spiritual way. So that is why that is very distinguishing feature of humans according to the Shastras. And of course, two highly specialized functions of the hand and the brain. And finally, the chakras also, it's although of course we do not dwell too much on this, but also the Shastras, they also explain that the energy, right? So Sahasrara Chakra, it is said, it connects to the universe, all these things. Because, for example, Prabhupada doesn't dwell so much into this because it's not very important in Vaishnavism. But just to explain the importance, because for my PhD, for my healing, I'm kind of using all these techniques. Prabhupada mentions at one place that the beginning consciousness, those who are highly materialistic, so that is why the Virat Rupa is given in the beginning, to understand everything is connected, everything is the Lord himself. And especially the Manipura Chakra, the yogi, those who are too much oriented with chakra and healing and body, at least here he understands that the Vaishwanara, the Manipura, the fire chakra is the Lord himself. So actually every chakra is the Lord himself. And all the chakras from here, here is the Om, we say, Ajna Chakra. And I was surprised to find that there is 16 petals here, 12 petals, all these chakras are there. They have all the aksharas. A to Aha is here. And then Kaka, Gaghana, all these letters. So when you chant, basically these aksharas, they vibrate. And the whole idea, eventually, the whole process is the sound. When it reverberates perfectly, it awakens the soul. It's like awakening Kumbhakarna within us. Anavrati Shabdat. And all the previous samskaras are gone. And that is the process of liberation, which is very special, unique to humans. And I was surprised that Maharshi, with their limited knowledge, they have opened such a university. I feel very soon our second generation, third generation with our Mayapur, all the Gurukul children, it's not very far that we will have Srila Prabhupada University. This science of chanting Hare Krishna and the whole science of cooking and all this is so perfect. It is so special. All these Vedic arts will come back. And who told this to me? This was Gopi Parandan Prabhu. So Gopi Parandan Prabhu said, when I asked him, when I was doing my master's in yoga, so I asked him, where do you place it? He told me something very beautiful. And I will end with this. And if any questions, if any. He said that Kali Yuga, something that protects you from the effect of Kali Yuga is the holy name. So when you chant 16 rounds, when you chant holy name, you are building like a beautiful dome around this Kali Yuga, like a temple. And within this temple, all the arts that existed in all the previous yugas, yoga, Ayurveda, meditation, whatever is there, he said, all of them will begin to be revitalized because they were all lost. The best astrologers, the best Ayurveda doctors, they were all killed by the British. And all this, the art almost disappeared, like Marma science, healing, Kalari Payat, all these minimized or went away. But he said, when this will happen, when the holy name will envelope the Satyuga will bring back these sciences. So today we see a great collapse of the earth going on right now with all this environment and this and that. And one Russian devotee came to me and he saw me, Indian devotee. The first question he asked, I know in Russia so much oil and everything, all the rivers will be, can our mantras change everything? That was his question. So this will come back and something very utopian, but the science is very wonderful. And I'm sure as we evolve through these 10,000 years, we have much more miracles to see. And Prabhupada, I heard this, I didn't see the quote, but many devotees have told me that our third generation, that is our next generation, will make fire with mantra. I don't know if it is true, but I hope it happens. But this science, human body is very mystical, very beautiful. And the more we learn, the more we understand, and the more we apply, appreciate these gifts, we can get far more, both in our whatever we have, what we call as our material existence, and also our devotional life. Both are very intertwined, and we can lead the both in the most fulfilling manner. Thank you so much. I hope some of it made sense. I'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to see how we sometimes try to neglect the body so much, but you try to connect, how body is so valuable, actually. Actually, it can revive our real spiritual connection, and every aspect of our body we have, this, whatever that body, what is it, was homoculous. Now, how our hand and mouth is so much connected to our brain. Definitely, it's really, really interesting. And I think even Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that, we have to put really good importance on health, right? Because if the body is not right, you cannot really practice spiritual life. Everything will be difficult. And a lot of things with the chakras, how the connection. The main thing is how we the part we try to think this, we are not his body, but how actually this body is so important, and understand our own body and how rejuvenate that power that we have within. That was very interesting factor. I think I really love that.
And one thing I would like to add about Prabhupada, just one thing.
Yes.
Recently, there is a study that came out which says that even if you haven't slept a whole night, or if you have just slept minimum, but 2 hours walking, it has to be 2 hours of walking, can actually reverse those effects. And you can imagine Prabhupada not sleeping for 12 years, but he had his daily morning walk and massage. So he knew perfectly how to maintain appetite. During massage, he will answer letters. So during walk, he will answer questions. So everything was right. It completely fulfilled. I mean, he's amazing. If you study every action, what he did, how he maintained body and intelligence, it's such a wonderful example, actually.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro. Yeah, really wonderful. And so let me before going to questions and answer, I would request devotees to chat or raise his hand. I would like to share the upcoming programs for 2 minutes. Let me share my screen. So our upcoming big festival is very close to us, on August 30th. That is Krishna Janmashtami. All the devotees are working hard. We are planning, make sure that the festival is celebrated very wonderfully. Devotees can participate in the sponsors for Abhishek. I think feast has been sponsored. We have flowers sponsors, and any other amount you want to sponsor for the support of the community, definitely please come ahead and do that. And as we have every week of Wednesday Sangha we have, so we will be having that virtual Sangha every Wednesday. And this week we're going to have a very special pre-Janmashtami present Sandhya. So I will request all the devotees come and really pray to the Lord sincerely, just we have Kirtan Mela, before everything is really sincerely praying to the Lord to manifest. So this is our pre-Janmashtami presence that this Sunday we're gonna have. So we request all the devotees to come. And Janmashtami we have, and also as I said, for Janmashtami we really request devotees to come forward, help. We have continuous programs: Janmashtami, Prabhupada Appearance Day, We really need help, like wrap up, set up, we everything. So if you can come in the center at 4 p.m. itself, that will be very, very helpful. We'll do some kind of setup on Sunday itself also. Please do see that. And we have Bhakti Vriksha. If you have any friends who like to connect to different part of our community, they can always connect here. They can join us and contact through devotees. And every morning we have a japa call. So devotees can join every morning 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. anytime. So they can join and participate in chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then we have every day from Monday to Friday. We have weekdays 12 p.m. reading of Bhagavad Gita. They read certain, like during that time they recite the sloka with the translation. So if you want to go through every sloka and read verse day by day, this is the really, really wonderful opportunity. And you can definitely come to our website, ISKCON.org, and also visit all the recordings we have on our ISKCON YouTube channel. You can find all our lectures there. So I would like to hand over to devotees who have any questions. Can raise a hand, and ask question, or send in the chat. Ramchandra Prabhu has a question. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Wonderful class. You covered so many important points. I have one question. As you talked about mudras, right? And one of our most important processes, japa. And during japa, the mind goes here and there. It's very hard to stay focused for many people. Is there any mudra that helps with practicing focus here?
See, actually, these fingers, they represent air and ether. Okay, so when you keep the japa mala, actually it is the sound. This middle finger is actually the akasha tattva. So you're activating the air element, the ether element, and ether relates to hearing. I found it very wonderful. Either this left hand, you can keep this and feel the pulse. You have to feel the pulse. The same finger when you activate on both sides. So it is actually, this mudra also helps in tinnitus, hearing, improving your hearing. Akasha mudra, it improves your space, because many a times thoughts overcrowd the space. So I found this very beneficial. And with the left hand, I sit like this. I sit, get my pulse, and this right hand I activate. So right hand, we do this, right, by continuously rubbing the beads, that being aware of this finger, middle finger. It has a lot to do with the sound, ether. So we do this, either this or this. So one of the two fingers, this is air. And even in general, if you are sitting, my suggestion is, even in general, if you are sitting, either watching news or just sitting, you can either do this mudra or this, especially this. So this is called Jnana Mudra. Why Jnana Mudra? Because it settles your nerves, improves your memory. Because brain is the physical, but actual memory is in your mind. So it purifies the nadis connecting to the mind. Because how come you have all the memories of previous lives is not from the physical brain. Although we need brain, but it is from the mind. So this activates. So this too, I found that the longer we sit, like I do, those who are joining my fasting whatever program, so now I started more focus on mudra, and for every meditation we use this one longer. So every day 10 minutes we just focus on this. Yes.
Is it keeping it like this on the lap, or doesn't matter?
Like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like this. It's just you keep it down. Like if you sit for japa in, like I sit usually in Padmasana. So Padmasana for chanting. So I keep it like this when you chant. Yeah. So here up. So it's very important to keep it.
However long doesn't matter.
However long doesn't matter. The longer you do, it's better. Mudras, the longer you do, the deeper the nerves heal. It is said anything you do, even chanting, we should not do like 1 round, 2 round. We should do like 4 rounds at least. Because anything you do 24 minutes, it digs a deeper samskara, it is said. So like that, so mudra. So yeah, so all these things that definitely help. And also lightening the breathing, because everything depends on your breathing. You have to relax. One technique of breathing that I found very beneficial is for Japa also is effortless breathing. So when you breathe in, we usually are not aware. So, but when you breathe out, if you relax your out breath. So mostly when we chant, we in our out breath we chant. Even when we do Om. So when you breathe out, if you do effort, this I found when I did asana. So when you do asana, it is said if you breathe like heavy, you also become like that. You become vata. But instead, when you breathe in, if you relax your breath after you breathe in, and you have to be very relaxed and let the breath go out, then you see it will go out very slow. And chanting should be the highest chanting we know is very in the mind, right? But we cannot reach but at least soft if we can do Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Because I know one of my friend, he's for many years he's been chanting the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, you're fighting. So you always go into that mode. But that is important. We have to fight sleep, but eventually you have to come to very soft, calm, back straight. As you practice, if you are able to do that, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare. And that's what is one of my healing points of the thesis for PhD is soft chanting of the mantra for reversing chronic diseases. That's the TM technique also. But I found when I did japa very soft, like this, with this, it helps a lot. So breathing also matters along with this. Yeah.
Also, we hear that, what is this called? That breathing one nose and I forget what I call it. Breathing one nose and
yeah.
Yeah. Can you just share some of the benefits of it and the right way of doing it?
Okay, so there are two. Okay, let me explain. There are two ways, two things. One is called the Ujjayi. So Ujjayi is what I did just now. Okay, so your normal breathing should be Ujjayi. So if you learn, so the first important thing is in breathing, don't breathe into your belly. A yogi has a dash belly. I will leave it to you, big or small. Small belly, right? Not big belly. Yogi doesn't have a big belly. So belly actually is one of the sign of, if you say beer belly or something, that's a problem. It's a liver, our indigestion. So the more you breathe into the belly, the more shallow you breathe. So breathing should be, so when you sit with back straight, your chest comes up, right? So you breathe here, right? And that is how you breathe. So when you do the pranayama, when you sit with back straight, what happens is it gives you the ability to breathe into the chest. And that's what the first lesson I teach. Next week we are starting the teacher training. So everybody individually, I'm teaching this lesson first. Breathe into your chest and let the breath slowly go out. And where do you focus? On your throat. So because you can breathe here, or you can breathe as if you're pulling the, like, when I smell a rose, I breathe from here, right? If you try that, breathing into the chest, and you don't force your breath out, you relax and you'll automatically slowly breathe out. So what happens is then your breath becomes longer, slower, calmer. This leads to a calmer japa session. Because once it's a question of practice. Now, this is the basis for Anulom Vilom. Right? Before you go to Anulom Vilom, I wanted to explain this. So is that your belly is inside. A yogi means his belly is inside, okay? And when you breathe into the chest, it goes sideways. It takes some practice though. It's not right today, but as you slowly do, and you slowly breathe out. So then what happens is, Ujjayi, it is said, if one practices this breathing, the meaning of the word utjayate means he is victorious, right? His digestion improves, his sleep quality improves. And I have found that in all of our practitioners, digestion, sleep quality, and your concentration improves in the japa. Okay. Now, when you do Anulom Vilom, okay. So now there are in Ayurveda, in yoga. So this is called Mrigi Mudra, forefinger, middle finger you close. Okay. Now there is what you call Puraka, inhale, Kumbhaka, hold, and Rechaka, exhale. Now, the Kumbhaka or holding the breath when you breathe in is not done until and unless you can sit in Padmasana. Okay. So the Kumbhaka is done after you breathe out, holding the breath. That is very beneficial. So how it works is, okay. So this thumb, you close the right nostril, okay, and this one you close the left, because I'm seeing the screen, I'm confused, right or left. So this is right and this is left. Okay, so first you close the right, okay, you breathe in from the left. See, again the same, you breathe into the chest, okay. So your chest comes up, right, and you close the right, close the left, okay. Now breathe out from the right. Now you have to follow that technique where you slowly breathe out. Now after you have fully breathed out, then you can hold. Now you can close for a few seconds. Okay, after that, now breathe in from the right. Close the right. Now breathe out from the left. After you fully breathed out, now you can hold. Now again, inhale from the right, left. Close the left. Exhale from the right. Now exhale should be longer than inhale. Slow, calm. And after you fully exhale out, then hold. Actually, if you focus nicely, you can feel your heartbeat, you can feel the pulse here also. Then after you fully breathed out, then you breathe in with the right, then close the right, exhale from the left. Now close both, hold. This is the actual way of Kumbhaka. So that Kumbhaka, when you hold, this actually gives the body a lot of relaxation. It actually blanks out stressful thoughts. So it's usually in the ratio of 1:2. So if you are breathing in for say 3 seconds, you can breathe out for 6 seconds. 1:2. Your breath out should be longer, slower, calm. And the more calmer you breathe out, your mind will also calm down. And if you hold the breath after you breathe out, it's very relaxing. So every time you inhale from the left, you count 1. So this is whole 1 cycle, left to right, right to left. So that is 1 cycle. Like that. So you can do 11 cycles, takes 10 minutes or 21 cycles, If you do morning, evening, this is very good because it gives you good sleep also. I found it is very beneficial. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Really, even I've seen it doesn't talk about holding, but you mentioned about holding the breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, this is one, what we call Bahya Kumbhaka. So Bahya Kumbhaka means holding is optional, but I taught it because I found it very beneficial. So even if you are able to hold for a few seconds, it's good. It's optional. You can just, what people do is inhale, Then you fully breathe out, and then you fully breathe in again. But if you are able to hold for a few seconds, it's good. It relaxes you a lot. And many people, actually, they watch some other videos and they hold, after they breathe in, they hold. You should not do that until and unless you can do Padmasana fully. If you're able to sit in Padmasana, squeeze the tummy in and squeeze the perineum, only then. So that's why I wanted to make sure I did the whole thing. Even if you hear about holding the breath, don't do it as long as you cannot do this. But this anybody can do, and it's actually very beneficial. It blanks the mind. It's what happens is Vidyate Hridaya Granthis, when we say pranayama, Prabhupada explains mantra chanting or pranayama, it gives you similar effect. That is, disentangle the mind. It breaks the chain of thought. It breaks the chain of disturbance. Cleans the nadi. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So again, just wanted to add one point on that. If now hearing the lecture, if we put in a Jnana Mudra, so will that help?
Oh yeah, very much. Actually, if you are hearing a lecture, if you sit in Jnana Mudra, you focus on the pulse, within 25-30 minutes, your pulse will get really heavy. Actually, we did a 1 hour meditation with our group, calm breathing, and every 15 minutes I was checking. So what happens is the pulse in the beginning, after you get the pulse, it becomes very prominent here, dominant here, then it becomes dominant here, then it goes all the way. Then you feel it here. You feel very relaxed, but depends on your focus. But your whole body, the nadi reverberates, it heals. Yeah. So the point is how long you can hold one mudra. Even the Shankha Mudra, which is used in deity worship, the longer you hold it, clears all your nadis.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this information. Gopal Gun Prabhu, you had a question? Please go ahead.
No, I think he already answered, but I was not clear about this the feeling of the pulse. I don't know if there's a trick on that. When you touch it, I don't feel it.
You should not press it too hard. You should not press it too hard nor too soft. It should mildly, if you touch the top, this part.
Oh yeah, I see that. If
Yeah,
it's very mild, then you feel it.
Yeah, so this is air, ether, earth, water, and this is fire. So in this way, you balance all the 5 elements. So every day, if you do this 5 minutes, you balance all the, it is called Bhuta Shuddhi.
I've seen some devotee chanting, they chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra with this, pinky finger, Hare Krishna, Hare. They're chanting on the right, and the left hand, they're chanting one mantra like this, second mantra with the other finger, then third mantra like this, fourth, and fifth mantra like this. So I've seen someone doing like that also. Again, they start like that with all fingers, and they every mantras, they this one mantra, they're doing that. Is that good, Prabhu?
Yeah. It balances the elements, like I said. Each pulse that you get, it balances that element. Air element, ether element, earth, water. This is fire.
Thank you.
So it's very good. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anybody else has any question, others? Mahawati Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How does Shirshasana help in some way?
Shirshasana helps in the sense that if you're standing, so the earth's gravity is the earth's gravity is your heart has to pull the blood from the lower part of your body all the way to the heart, right? The heart has to keep pulling. But when you do Shirshasana, the longer you do, the blood naturally flows to the heart. So what happens to the heart? It heals. Means it gets a break. Second is it improves blood flow to the brain area. You see that during heart attack and all, people get paralyzed. That's because even a minimum few seconds, blood flow to the brain stops, body gets paralyzed. Instead, when you increase the brain flow, the blood flow to the brain, especially with Shirshasana, it helps replenish, nourish, regrow the brain cells. So it has a lot of effect on the brain. So it heals, cools, regrows the brain cells, the nerve cells. So it has multiple benefits. Plus, it also improves the muscles, like it rests the muscles and strengthens also the heart.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Ramchandra, we have more question.
Yeah, my question is this, that as we know that animals have different natures and they act according to their natures, humans also come with certain natures based on their past lives, right? And mix of different modes, as one comes to Krishna consciousness and one sincerely tries to improve and become sincere, sometimes these natures take over. The natures could be, in a mode of passion, ignorance, or goodness, but also within that, it could be enviousness or anger or cheating propensity or whatever else maybe. Sometimes it overtakes because it's our nature. And then again, we read, we hear, we chant, we go back to spiritual, inclined to that. So can those natures be changed over time, or one sticks with those natures? Sometimes people hope that, it's my nature and I'm just struggling, but natures can be changed, right?
Patanjali gives a warning, and I found it very beneficial. He says that moment you take up the process of yoga, everyone comes with a good mind. Nobody takes up the process of devotion. But that's what happens. Along the way, we become, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we may become lazy. We may become complacent. So Patanjali wants that your old nature is sitting with 10 times more force, 10 times more force to hit back at you, to come back. And the greatest danger for a yogi is to let down his guard, let down his sadhana. Like in the name of service, if you give up chanting, happens in many temples, Janmashtami, 3-4 days, and then you are not able to chant and this and that. Sometimes people don't get back. Now that's not ideal. You cannot make that up. You have to somehow be able to maintain or quickly get back. But if that becomes chronic, then he thinks what I'm doing is fine. Whereas the essence is to chant offenselessly. So at that time, there is a danger. He says it will come back. He says, however, if we maintain the sadhana, once what is given by Sri Guru, so what we call transcendental. So when the Guru gives transcendental seed, bija, he doesn't give you the plant, he gives you the seed, right? Bhakti Lata bija. Now that needs to be, we have to be aware of that plant. So that is conscious. And every day we need to water, we need to replenish, we need to develop. And be aware of that plant, aware of the growth of that plant. And when that plant matures, you change your nature from human to divine. Right? So Prabhupada said, we are neither vegetarians, neither this, anything connected to human nature, we are transcendental. But that depends only on your level of awareness. So what happens is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wants, don't be Mathamedi. Right? I'm just worried about my tempo. Whereas what I realized from my spiritual master and of course Prabhupada's books and every guru within our movement. So we have to, not just my guru, but anybody, but especially because I associated more. So and many other senior Vaishnavas, that ultimately everything in this world is meant to help us. Every situation, every temple, every situation, everything is meant to help you get better. But if we start enjoying the same thing, if we become comfortable then your progress stops. That's what when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada told Prabhupada was Agunjalibe. Now there will be fire. Because the moment they got into a big temple, and then they were like very happy, and they first started fighting for room, space, this, that, me, mine. So all those nature comes back. So he said, I don't mind, So our biggest danger is, that's why in Bhagavad Gita it's very clear, is your mind is the biggest danger. And what is the danger is that your whole nature comes back with 10 times the force. The only thing that can prevent it is consistent sadhana. And that's when I realized why health is so important, why consistency is important. And since we are all talking, some of our Maharajas, like my own Guru Maharaj, I'm seeing with one leg. Now he's visiting Jharkhand in some village. He's going every day Mangalarti with one leg at the age of 75. I don't know at that age. And I'm seeing every day, we are seeing Loknath Maharaj every day, Mangalarti at that age, and such powerful kirtans. You can only imagine that's a divine nature, right? It's not possible so easy. But that is why what we call sustained systematic practice. So that is where we need guidance of Guru. Like there are so many things which we learn. But when a Guru gives you that knowledge, he's not just giving reading of a book, he is giving you realized knowledge. And when that realized knowledge is there, your development is fast. And that's what happened to devotees. And that is why it is said, the more you associate with advanced devotees, you acquire that nature. So that's what our goal should be. And always be fearful that our sadhana becomes loose. For me, no matter what, I have to practice. I have to chant, I have to do, no matter what, I have to make my time. And especially after I translated, I did this translation, to write a book, but for my own self. And Patanjali says, if you maintain your sadhana, then what happens? At one point, it becomes natural. And all that a yogi is doing, what is a yogi doing? Just like the sun and the moon, they want to benefit everyone. The Lord's mercy is there. He calls him Ishvara. But because of our anartha, we block. All we do is open up ourselves with our sadhana, with our sincerity. Then by his grace, that begins to flow. Viveka khyate aviplavo hano payaha, just like a ceaseless river. Intelligence flows. So that's the thing. That's when you are in auto mode. Right? So then then your nature becomes completely divine. So we have to come to that point, So that's the thing. We have to set ourselves up by daily maintaining a consistency in routine. Ayurveda also says, if you want to live long, just have a good routine. That's the main thing. No matter what time you eat, but be consistent. All this, you are reading, chanting. So those who live long, also, if you see their lives, they're very consistent. So that quality comes. So that's it. Consistency and good association. So we have nice, good association. We just maintain.
Regulated life.
Regulated, yes. And we have to have faith over a period of time. Tat swayam yoga samsiddhim kale natmani vindati. Over a period of time, it will automatically come, right? So that's the thing. You have to keep doing. That's what my Guru Maharaj says when he talks about Varnashrama. I'll keep doing what I have to do. At one point, it will manifest. I don't know how, but Krishna will manifest. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, just wanted to again, you mentioned the point that, at the time of even conceiving Garbhadhan itself, we come with the living entity comes with some kind of nature. Even in astrology, we see that we are defined with some kind of nature. Right in astrology, this person is this kind of nature. So can that be changed? Because
that's the thing.
By changing a mantra,
what we said is we have certain qualities and certain limitations, but we are talking about uncovering the soul, acquiring the qualities of the soul. So that's the thing. So the more you get closer to that kind of association, that is why it is said in the Bhagavatam, moment's association with the pure devotee. That's it. So that's the thing. The more you are close to that fire, the more you are thinking only of that nature, the quickly you will acquire it. So that's it. It is association and activities of those nature. So if we understand everything as a science, even eating, all these things, so it will all fall together. Yeah. But definitely it is changeable. And that is what we, like, for example, those who have diabetes, can we reverse it? So that's my thesis for PhD, to reverse diabetes naturally. So that is high vata, high kapha. You balance all the three, you will come back. So, but you have to balance. But how do you do it? That's the methodology. That's the science, right? Diet, exercise, and it depends on the individual, but you can make a general plan. Diet, exercise, routine, eating the right stuff. Yeah. And of course, there's a big role of mind. Yeah. All right. So I think I'll also have to have another program. So I will.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It's really, really wonderful, wonderful lecture. We are really appreciate, and hopefully we can see you again